Hello, children. Well, everybody actually. It's teacher Anna Marie and Patton Dotton. Hello. We're going to continue reading The Princess and the Pinkie Nail. Now remember, the guest had arrived at the palace and she was a bedraggled looking girl. Snootenville the butler didn't want to believe that she was in actual fact a true princess. And the queen had sold the rubies on the trinket box and she'd replaced them with jelly tots. And so the bickering and nattering continued in the royal dining room, whilst down in the royal kitchen things were not going very much better. Remember, Snootenville had refused to take the girl, the so-called princess, to meet the queen. He'd dragged her off to the kitchen. Snootenville had served the bedraggled lass with a paper plate of crusty bread and limp pilchard. She had flung it ungratefully across the room, where it had hit the cook flat in the face. The cook, in turn, had flung an old smelly rag back across the table at the young girl. It's like a food fight. As the rag hit the girl smack on the middle of her forehead, all hell broke loose in the royal kitchen. Pots, pans, dirty water, slippers that had been chewed by the royal dog, and old wet newspapers, well, just about anything anyone could lay his or her hands on, was flung mercilessly across the kitchen, this way and that, over and under, round and about. It looked like a small military invasion, and no one seemed to be winning. "Enough is enough!" screeched the cook, flinging off her rather oversized apron. She spun around and marched out of the kitchen, a sharp steak knife missing her right ear by 0.5 millimeter. "I agree," cried out Snootenville, who was very meticulous and was not very happy with the slimy piece of pilchard that was hanging off the tip of his large nose. "I strongly say we send this tiresome wench through to the royal dining room and let the queen deal with her." Having said that, he grabbed the so-called Princess Clarabella by her left ear and dragged her out of the kitchen. "Let me go, you rotten butler! I will have you dragged down into my father's royal dungeon, where you will be left and forgotten and eaten by, The princess faltered, as she was rather kind by nature and found it difficult to threaten someone. Yes, she cried, having a rather reckless moment. "Yes, you will be devoured, I say. Yes, devoured by great, grotesque, people-eating rats," she ended dramatically. Snootenville merely bellowed with laughter and thought, "Oh, what a dumb twit-brain she is." You see, he was rather stuck up, wasn't he? Well, let's turn the page. Let's have a look. Page 12. You must all remember what page I'm on when I finish this part 3 reading. Back to the dining room. The queen and her son were still glaring at each other when the dining room door was flung open. "Your guest," announced the butler dramatically, literally throwing the bedraggled girl into the room. "Never in my entire life have I been treated this way," cried Princess Clarabella. The Queen and Prince William stared in bewilderment at the figure before them. The princess then fell into a beautiful curtsy and bowed her head. "And who might our guest be then, Snootenville?" asked the queen, eyeing the girl's rather impressive curtsy. "Oh, ta-da!" trumpeted the butler. "Let me announce the beautiful and splendid and exceptionally well-dressed, as clean as a pin, Princess Clarabella." On the subject of a pin, one could hear a pin drop in that royal dining room at that very moment, as the queen and her son stared, mouths open, at the bedraggled, mud-stained, rain-drenched spectacle before them. "Well, off you go then, Snootenville," said the queen. "You can find some dry clothes in the royal dressing room, just not my old prom dress, as it has great sentimental value to me." "Of course, madam," said Snootenville, bowing so low that his rather large schnoz practically touched the royal floor. "And you are so plump you would not fit into it anyway," he muttered under his breath. "What was that, Snootenville?" asked the queen in a syrupy voice. "I said that a nice piece of rump would be very fitting to serve the royal Princess Clarabella," replied Snootenville, and with a sarcastic smile, he left the room. Let's have a look at the time. Okay, we'll have to round that up for today. Let's see what's going to happen next week in The Princess and the Pinkie Nail. It's exciting, isn't it? I think she really is a princess. Yes. I've always wanted to be a princess. Well, you're wearing such a beautiful dress. Show everyone. You actually look like a princess today. Have a lovely week, and we'll continue the story next week.